Welcome to the seventh of 9 videos looking at the political frame. And what we're going to do during this particular video is look at morality and politics. Boy, do those two terms go together or not? We'll see. And talk about dealing with a adversary within that framework. And then we'll look at 5 questions for assessing a leader's actions. And then 4 principles of moral judgment which tie back to those 5 questions. Actually, you can see a pretty good correlation between the two. So that's kind of the plan for this particular video. Let's go ahead and jump into morality and politics, and we're going to start to look at dealing with adversaries. So when you're dealing with adversaries, you know, the one thing you can do is, of course, pressure the adversary to adopt your course of action. A second, which the book spends a bit of time on, is letting go of them. In other words, tell them what your vision is, tell them your best understanding of their position, identify how you can contribute to the problem, and then tell them what you plan to do, but don't make any demands as part of doing that. And the book suggests that this will work in many situations. It will not work in situations where you have a formidable, and the book uses the term hard-headed, opponent. In other words, if they've got their story together and they're going to stick to their story, their perception, their version of the truth, then this isn't going to work. You're actually just giving them ammunition to attack your position, and they're not going to move their position at all. So anyway, the book in terms of morality and politics talks a little bit about 2 different ways of dealing with adversaries, and then it poses 5 questions as you're doing that to say, is this the right thing to be doing? And again, these are pretty straightforward. You know, are you following rules that are mutually understood or accepted? Are you comfortable discussing and defending this? Would you want to be on the receiving end of your own actions? Is the world going to be better or worse if everyone acted like you did? And are there alternatives that rest on firmer ethical ground? Is there a better way of solving this particular problem? So, great questions to ask as you're making decisions to make sure that you're not violating any ethical choices, any moral choices. And then the last part of this particularly short video, it is pretty short, huh? Looks at 4 components of moral judgment. And again, these relate back, if you will, to the 5 questions. Are you showing mutual understanding of the issue and mutual impact? The generality test, an openness test, and a caring test. You will often hear that third one, the openness test. Would you be comfortable if this was if your mother knew about this? Would you be comfortable if this was on the front page of the New York Times? So those are good kind of mechanisms for making sure. And what I am doing, boy, that's terrible English. Am I doing something that's right, or am I doing something wrong based on this particular decision? All right, well, very good. We've covered this pretty quickly, but what I really wanted to get to in this is that kind of 5 questions for assessing a leader's action. And the 4 principles apply as well, but getting into how do you look at moral judgments, how do you assess those, what are the right criteria for doing that? And in class, we'll do an in-class exercise on this where we do some assessment around this. All right, well, that brings us towards the end of video 7 of 9, looking at the political frame. And what we're going to do during the next video is look at political agents and political arenas and how they link together, and then looking at sources of power, starting with a kind of a top-down approach to sources of power. All right, well, that brings us to the end of this video. Study hard and look forward to seeing you in the next video.